This is my Razer Huntsman Mini. You guys have been asking me to mod it for a while now, and well, it's done. And the process was actually very interesting. So yeah, let's get right into that. So the first step is going to be to disassemble the Razer Huntsman Mini. We can do this pretty easily by taking off all of the keycaps, and then we're going to need to locate all of the screws. Fortunately for us, every single one of the ones on the Razer Huntsman Mini are located on the top of the plate. There are quite a few screws though, so it took us a little bit to actually get into the board. After we got in there, there's exactly 2 cables that you're going to need to unplug from the back of the main board. Now be careful with these. These are ribbon cables, so they are pretty fragile. That's when I noticed something pretty unique about these switches. They're completely exposed on the bottom of the PCB, meaning I have full access to the springs, the stabilizers, everything without having to desolder the board, which is kind of awesome. Since I'm going to want to paint this case, we're actually going to disassemble it further, removing the daughter board and then cleaning up the back side of the case a little bit, removing any parts of plastic that don't really need to be painted, and also the rubber feet on the bottom. Now it's time to prep the case itself. Because we're dealing with plastic, we're going to want to scuff it up ever so slightly. So we've got a nice Scotch-Brite pad. I did try to remove this label on the bottom, but Razer is pretty stubborn about their labels, so I gave up on fully removing it. But that being said, we should be able to paint over it no problem. For this build, we're going to be actually doing a nice hot pink. And since we're going from black, it's appropriate to prime first. So we did a nice coat of primer, and then we sanded it down like this, and did another coat of primer and then sanded that down as well. This gives us a nice smooth finish to work with, but also gives us plenty of surface area for the paint to actually stick to. As I mentioned earlier, we're not going to have to desolder this board at all because we've got completely exposed stabilizers and switches. So we're going to go ahead and lube the switches, since they are clicky switches, with Tribosis 3203. My method for this is pretty simple. Get some lube on the brush, thin it out a little bit, and then I can actually reach in and actually kind of lube the slides and the springs individually, which is rather convenient. Now the Razer Huntsman Mini does have a rather unique switch on it as well, because each switch actually has per key stabilization. So using again our Tribosis 3203, I went ahead and I lubed each stabilizer separately. I accidentally actually cut part of the case in that corner over there when I was trying to take apart the stabilizers to see if I could actually just remove them all and lube them with a thicker lube like Krytox 205 grade 0, but I couldn't get them undone without removing the switches. After giving the case ample time to dry, we had this nice glossy hot pink case that was ready to be reassembled. So we went ahead and we added new adhesive to the adhesive backed rubber pads to attach them to the back of the case, along with attaching the plastic feet that are used for elevation. We also added a little custom decal that was Razer X GreaterThanPie, but it was originally too big and I kind of scuffed it. But you know what? It wouldn't be one of my videos if it wasn't a little bit scuffed, right? After that, it was time for the foam mod. Of course, we're using my absolute favorite foam modding material, shelf liner. Again, cheap, affordable, and easy to get a hold of. Also, it's already got holes, so we can line it up nicely with the rest of the holes in the case. Now was also the time to actually add back in the daughter board, as we don't really want to cover it in the foam, and we really needed to get a good spot for where it actually was in here. And now let's reassemble it all the way. We can go ahead and put those ribbon cables back in where they belong, screwing down the daughter board, and then screwing the plate onto the case, closing it back up. Now it already looks good with the purple, black, and pink, and you can kind of see where I'm going with this. So the keycap set that I picked is actually called Akko Neon, and it's actually a very similar set to GMK Laser, a actual keycap set that I also have. Digressing a little bit, this keycap set has a nice purple, blue, pink, and sort of dark blue colorway. It looks really nice, and we're gonna go ahead and just put all of our keycaps on. Now I was gonna try something a little weird with this and actually include arrow keys into the bottom row and then remove my Windows key for the function key and then set some other key up as a temporary Windows key when function is being held down. Unfortunately, Razer's software did not allow that, and I had to end up switching it back to a more standard layout. But now with the build finished, honestly, this thing doesn't look like a Razer Huntsman anymore. It looks like a full custom keyboard. But not only does it look nice, it also sounds pretty nice. So what do you guys think? I honestly love this thing, to be completely honest. This is easily one of the nicest looking keyboards I think I've ever built. That being said, it's gonna have a bit of stiff competition because while I was building this, I also built this, which has some of the same design elements, but cost significantly more. But that video, we'll leave that for another day. Thank you guys for watching. Why don't you go ahead and click some of this other relevant content on the side, and I will see you guys in the next video. Also, I have merch. Wolfie, out.